Everyone to our Q1 webinar, where we are diving into marketing attribution. I want to give folks a minute to dial in. So we'll introduce ourselves here. Would love to hear about where you're dialing in from. So if you want to drop a city, a state in the chat, feel free. I'm Kadisha Burr. I am dialing in from Cleveland, Ohio. We're 70 degrees today, which is kind of odd, but I will take it at the beginning of March. I am a 16-year Yelp veteran, and I run our solutions team where we work on digital measurement strategy for our clients. I am joined by my esteemed colleague who has escaped, but he's back. So, Karan, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hi everyone, I'm Karan. I have been at Yelp for 4 years, so much smaller in the amount of experience in ad tech than Kadisha has, for sure. But led through product marketing. I've enjoyed working on attribution. That's what my foray was as I entered Yelp. Um, the space has really changed in the last 4 years. I lead go-to-market for our enterprise and multi-location teams, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, we are excited to have you. So thank you for joining us. We are excited to dive into this topic. Attribution is an ever-changing landscape, and it's always been challenging sometimes for marketers to really get a grasp on everything that's going, everything that's changing, and knowing that you're ending up with really reliable measurement strategy for your marketing. So lots to talk about with the landscape, and I would love to ask Kieran, because I know this is your specialty. What's going on? What should marketers be thinking about today?
I think the biggest question on marketers' minds with regards to measurement is cookies are going away. Your view through would stop working. Stuff like DCM tags may not work as well. I think it's a moment to step back. It's a moment to see how we did measurement in the last couple or even 3 decades. It's not a new challenge, I would say. A similar challenge came to the foray in 21 when Apple deprecated IDFAs. So we'll get through this. All of us marketers, we'll definitely get through this. And we just have to stay optimistic and positive.
I love that. I love that you mentioned that there's a lot of change, and there's already been change where marketers and platforms have had to adapt to. And there's been a ton of talk about cookie deprecation and the delay of cookie deprecation, and now it's really coming this time around. And really important is how do we pivot, right? How do brands start to think about pivoting? What are some of those options that you see on the market today?
Um, uh, I think yes, I was wondering where this slide is, but from our perspective, we have several experts at Yelp on go-to-market, on product, on engineering. It is an important piece of the puzzle as we think about measuring ad effectiveness. These are the four pillars that I would say we are putting our money into to where future solution lies. It's going to be a combination of these pillars. So MMM, that is abbreviated for media mix modeling, clean rooms, conversions API, and incrementality testing. Clean rooms, I wanted to speak a little bit about clean rooms first. Clean rooms are almost a like-to-like replacement for multi-touch attribution. It's those are these clean rooms are highly deterministic and can help advertisers understand publishers' relative performance. I've heard advertisers using clean rooms to understand incremental reach on Hulu versus Paramount versus Pinterest. But it does come with a couple of big shortcomings. One is its cost. It's still cost prohibitive, and the clean rooms are accessible to larger enterprise or larger investors in the advertising space. and it only works well with ad inventory that has logged in users. Conversions API front is a bit more exciting for me. It's more exciting because not only can advertisers leverage first-party data through their CRMs and understand the impact of media across every publisher, but we as publishers are in a really advantageous position of showing that credit, and the showing that helping the advertiser understand how did an ad impression or an ad click drive the outcomes that they are trying to measure. Um, if I had one key takeaway for today, I would say I would encourage every marketer who's joined the call today to go through and read about these four technologies. Spend 10 to 15 minutes of your time dwelling into each of these technologies. Some of them are obviously the more expensive. Some of them will fit your budget. On the MMM and incrementality testing side of things, I know, Kadisha, you and your team have spent a lot of time, I think upwards of 15 hours for this year, educating yourselves, getting into the details, even getting your hands dirty with data to really understand how these tools work. So why don't you walk us through these two tools?
I will. And I'll actually start by addressing a question someone asked in the Q&A, which was a question I had not so long ago. What is this MMM thing? What does it even stand for? So what we're talking about is media mix marketing. Conceptually, this has been around for a long time. The idea is that you look at every place where you're spending on marketing. It might be SEO, it might be platforms like Yelp or Meta or TikTok. It might be billboards or TV or streaming. But you look at every place you're spending on marketing, you plug those into a model or a series of models so you can get an outcome that lets you make decisions on where to spend your money next. So it kind of level sets the landscape of your marketing so you can actually start to make some comparisons. Now, when you look at media mix marketing today, typically there's going to be models based on regression analysis or machine learning where you're plugging in a lot of data, maybe the last year, the last 2 years of performance data. So you can start to get some outcomes and start to actually see the best places to put your money. This is a great way to start to compare your advertising, but it's not perfect, right? And with any model, it's something that you can train and look at different outcomes to ultimately understand, is my TV investment working? Is my platform investment working? And where do I want to put money next? And so a lot of companies are really starting to use MMM as a way to level set and get that directional guidance on where to place money. And like Kieran said, I got a chance to build some of these models. They're complex, like machine learning can be or regression analysis can be, but it's really interesting when you start to plug in some backlog data on any type of performance marketing to understand how it's working for you. Incrementality testing is one of my favorites. And incrementality testing is another solution that's been around for a while too. So there's various ways we can test incrementality, right? Like you want to just simply understand, how much more money did I drive with new customers or lapsed customers when I ran this marketing? You can do geo lift test, you can do behavior lift test, you can do store visit lift test. But ultimately, what we want to get out of incrementality testing is how much more I made this investment. Was I able to drive new customers? Was I able to drive lapsed customers? Was I able to drive revenue that I otherwise would not have gotten? So again, as we look towards the future, these are the types of things that can start to help level set and help us understand measurement, even in the absence of something like cookies, which is what we're heading for today. So I get excited about these options. These are things that I know a ton of companies are working on. I know, Kieran, you're really close to what Yelp is doing in these areas and what Yelp is doing in the future. So I would love if you could give everyone just a sneak peek into some of these areas and what we've been working on here.
Look, I'll say we are excited for each of these. Yelp, Yelp ads are mid to lower funnel. We're excited about partnering with external vendors. We're excited about developing first-party solutions. But from a publisher perspective, right? Yelp being the host of ads, I would say I'm more excited about Conversions API and incrementality testing as the two tools. But folks who have joined the call, stay tuned to hear about more, what continues to develop. We'll keep pushing updates through our website, plans.yelp.com, and you'll keep hearing more. But let's start chat about why don't we chat about what we have live today?
Yeah, let's do that. There's a few things we do at Measurement today.
Um, we have a host of measurement tools today. I wanted to dedicate some time. We were going back and forth on this on how to do this yesterday, but I wanted to give special thanks to our team and who has developed all these first party tools. It's incredibly difficult and complex to develop first party measurement tools as opposed to rent out third party capabilities, but we were able to do so. Yelp store visits is a great tool. We got feedback from the market in 2017, 2018 that Yelp is an awesome player in the market for driving visits to our stores. It would be great if Yelp can also measure those outcomes in terms of store visits. So we took all the location data that we had and then we developed a tool so as to connect your ad clicks and ad impressions all the way up to physical store visits. We also partnered with some third party vendors and put our first party magic on top to develop a Yelp's own pixel so that we can measure online outcomes such as bookings or online orders or appointments and connect them to ads, ad impressions, and ad clicks. Then we also have the good old Yelp metrics. So if you are a business that values web leads or calls or want analytics over some of these calls that were made by location or by call length, we also have internal Yelp metrics that can help you do that. Um, I've spoken enough, but I know that Kadisha and her team are familiar with recommending the right tool for the right goals to the clients and are really in the weeds when it comes to picking the right solution for clients. So, Kadisha, how walk us through the process. How do you make a recommendation to a newer and existing advertiser?
Well, the first thing is just to understand what's the goal for the client, what's the goal for the advertiser. Whenever you are making that investment with us, we want to understand what outcome you want to get at and what's the best way to deliver to it. So, a lot of times we'll talk about our key performance indicators. How do we know that the ad investment is working? And then the fun part for us is how are we going to measure that? And so, Yelp works with all types of businesses, from restaurants to service businesses, healthcare, really all across the board. And so we know that depending on what kind of outcome you want, whether it's a phone call or an online action, that's going to differ. So, for example, if you're a business looking for phone calls, we work with Telmetrics. And what we're able to do is not only track that someone called the business, but what was the quality of that call? How long did they stay on the line? Did they stay on the line enough to make an appointment or convert with your business? That's the type of data we want our clients to take away from phone calls to know that that investment is really giving them that valuable lead. In another place we look, phone calls are almost always coupled with online actions. So I know Kieran just talked about the Yelp Pixel, right? So if someone is going to go online and buy with you, can we then pixel that transaction? If they're going to go online and create a lead, we want you to see that come all the way through. Yelp has its own host of metrics as well that really allows you to understand, are people coming to my Yelp page? Are they clicking over to the website? What type of actions are they taking on that Yelp page that are going to indicate that they're interested in the business and they're converting with the business? And for our consumer packaged goods, we work with a lot of brands who may not have a storefront, but they may sell a product that you would pick up in the grocery store. In those cases, we work with a company like IRI, where we're able then to actually do that full measurement all the way through to the actions that were taking place inside that store. And so we really want to make sure we're rounding out the journey from seeing that Yelp advertisement to then taking that next action. Um, Store visits is one of my favorites because we know people who come to Yelp go in store. Maybe except during that period where there's a little pandemic. But today, people are getting out and they're going in store. So we have our first party Yelp store visits product. We work with Cubic and Foursquare as well. And not only can we understand store visits, we can start to understand incrementality from that to make sure that we're driving new customers who are coming in and transacting. We have some great transaction partners as well. LiveRamp and Newstar mentioned here. Both of these partners allow us to know that if someone saw your ad, did they eventually transact? Did they, go to that retail store and buy that pair of jeans, right? Did they actually come into the grocery store and purchase? Again, these are all different ways for us to pick up on those transactions. And then when we think about upper funnel at Yelp, we work with a lot of brands where it's not only about that end of the line transaction, it's about creating awareness. You might be an auto dealership, and we know that it might take a long time for someone to actually finally get in and buy a car. But if you're a big company, can you be top of mind for that consumer when they're ready to make that journey? And so Upwave and Donata and Kantar are all different companies that we work with to understand brand lift. Did people become more aware of what you're selling? And so these are tools in our toolkit that we deploy every day on a regular basis. We offer robust reporting, and we're continually providing updates and reporting to our clients, again, so they know that that ad investment is driving real efficiencies for the company. So I know we are talking about the KPIs of these campaigns, and knowing your goals makes it a lot easier to measure. And so, Kieran, I would love you to just talk a little bit about, when do you know what type of tool you use based on the type of business, what's right for you?
Yeah. Actually, before we go into this, I had one comment. You know, to your summary from the last slide. I think there was one important comment. If you go to the last slide, I think we spoke about, how would cookies impact measurement, right? Take all these use cases, with the exception of online actions, we have the ability and the confidence to measure all these even when cookies go away. With online actions, we have a plan. We are working through it, and we'll keep the folks posted. If online outcomes matters to you, we'll have a solution for you in the near future. But measuring phone calls, visits, transactions, brand lift, all these things are not going away. They will remain as efficient, as strong as they ever were, even with cookies transitioning away.
Thank you for going back to the slide and calling that out, because I think sometimes it's tough to distinguish what am I still going to be able to do,
Exactly.
come the end of the year if everything does go through.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we think about our future proofing, that's one of the reasons. Not only do we have these great first party solutions, we work with some really strong third party partners to make sure we can continue measurement into the future.
Now, to your question on connecting KPIs to the verticals or to outcomes. When you think about restaurants or any bigger or smaller restaurant brands, driving consumers to the store is an important goal for a marketer. So, if I'm hungry for breakfast and I search for a Yelp ad, I'm probably sharing my location with Yelp, and that's why we used a first party product called Yelp Store Visits to be able to connect that ad impression or ad click all the way to that visit to that particular store or the restaurant. And that's how we are able to connect the dots between restaurants spending on Yelp and restaurants measuring effectiveness of the same spend using Yelp store visits. Then for services as a category, very recently I had a pest control need at my house, and I raised a request to code request. Shout out to that product, really good product. If you've never used Request a Quote and own a home, you're missing out. Feel free to open your app and use that product. But essentially, I made a request through that product, and I got a bunch of folks to give me quotes for pest control needs. Now I don't think I made my decision to go with a particular vendor through Yelp itself, but later on in the day, I went to one of the vendor's websites and converted. And this was important for it would be important for the advertiser or the vendor to be able to connect the dots on how did Yelp exposure actually drive that appointment booking. And for that particular user journey, we use the Yelp Pixel as a product. And the last example is of retail and live ramp. So think about another consumer journey where I have a grocery need. I go to Safeway. Safeway has a loyalty program. I swipe my card, my loyalty program, or enter my phone number, and Safeway knows exactly what I bought and which phone number do I have. We partner with a provider called LiveRamp, who funnels in this data in partnership with Safeway, and I can connect the dots. So Safeway advertising on Yelp, I can actually connect that ad impression or ad click all the way to the transaction on the cash register. So I think we've designed some really cool ways of different advertisers with different use cases, trying to measure different outcomes, and what tools would be a good fit for measuring all those outcomes.
Corinne, I'm really glad you found a good pest control through Request a Quote. I'm going to give my colleague a really hard time because he told me the story about needing pest control because he was airing out his house. It was a beautiful sunny day in California, and he opened all the doors and all the windows to air out the house. I don't know
I
if you want to comment on that, but
I think yeah, it was a rookie mistake. This is the first time we've started to live in a single family home, and I think opening windows would have been the best solution. I don't know why I decided to open doors, and something came in. We've never
you
been
invited the
inside.
pest in. You said, "Pest, come inside so I can use Request a Quote and find a great exterminator." I just thought that was a great way to really take advantage of Request a Quote. And I'm sure our services people are very happy about that home you own for the future. But I shouldn't give you such a hard time. We want to make sure we hear from the people out there too. Before we transition into our Q&A, is there anything else, Kara, you would recommend to the audience to help them to stay ahead of their attribution needs and trends? I know a lot of brands are thinking about this right now. We shared where Yelp is going next, but it's really important for brands to start to get a plan in place for that. So let's say you have all the tools in place. What else should be top of mind?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question. This is something that I actually yeah, ask CMOs and panels as well, once a quarter to how are they thinking about measurement, given the change in landscape or the current privacy landscape. And two things come top of mind. First is stakeholder management and change of culture. Understanding that status quo is not the best way to measure, or click-based outcomes are not the best way to measure, or last click is not a great source of attribution is a starting point. Like, okay, status quo is breaking. I, as a marketer, do not feel confident about measurement, and we need to experiment. And that is the culture that you need to educate your peers, folks that report into you, and folks above you. And I think those that who are able to harness that particular culture would come out winning out of this entire debacle of privacy landscape changing. And the second one is education. There's no single substitute to educating yourself. Things keep changing. Google's privacy sandbox page keeps getting updated on how those efforts are going, and I think it does require us to geek out a bit and educate ourselves regularly, just like Kadisha's team did. Out of just out of the conscience of putting effort on the table and learning. Shout out to her and her team who invested upwards of 15 hours just to learn a new set of tools, or or newer technologies that will be relevant as we move on towards the cookieless future.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that the education part is just key. And I keep my alerts looking at any new articles that come through about attribution, finding courses about attribution. I think there's just so much to know. And as you think, through the rest of 2024 and going into 2025, this is going to be a landscape that is really important to stay right on top of. So education and managing stakeholders, two really good takeaways. So let's open it up for Q&A. We want to give anyone in the audience a chance to send some questions our way. And before that, just to thank everyone for joining today. You can always get more information from Yelp about attribution and about Yelp in general by going to brands.yelp.com/measurement. You can also email us at brands@yelp.com with additional questions. And we are happy to have our experts help you out and answer anything that you need to know. So I see a few things rolling into the Q&A. I think I have some questions here. Let's see what we got. It says, could you share how you're using the Yelp Pixel for attribution? Do you provide it to partners to execute measurement, or is it used for your bespoke measurement? Karen, you want to take that one?
Yeah, it's I think the Yelp Pixel is a standard piece of technology. It's a JavaScript code that gets implemented on your website. And I mean, I can't think of a single vertical that would not find this relevant, given some sort of online flows are almost ubiquitous to all the businesses, right? Whether you're a healthcare business, or whether you are a small shop online retailer, or you are a large enterprise client trying to drive online order. So it's a tool that can help you connect online actions, even upper funnel actions, not just conversions. It could be clicks on some particular piece of part of the your website, or add to carts, or final conversions or bookings to the ad event of the Yelp impression or a Yelp click. Um, I'll get maybe I should just use the opportunity to speak a bit more. This technology is going to change as cookies go away, and is primarily is the one technology that stands to get deprecated as cookies go away. The like-to-like replacement of this technology is called Conversions API, which is for example, let's say that you are a small scale retailer, right? You're a direct-to-consumer brand. You sell jeans to consumers online. In that case, you'll probably work with an infrastructure partner like Shopify to get all of your online orders data in one place, along with timestamps. You leverage that Shopify data and pipe it into publishers such as Yelp or Meta or Snapchat, or Pinterest, and then you're able to understand to what ad units, what campaigns, and even what audiences drove those conversions. So you're able to understand the the influence of each publisher to those conversions.
Great, thank you. Our next question asks, how can I utilize this in a legal vertical? I'll take that one. We work with a number of professional services. And when we think about professional services, the one thing people are looking to get are leads. We know that oftentimes, especially if you're a lawyer in the legal vertical, someone's going to need to actually get in contact with you and maybe have a discussion to fully convert. So in this case, you'd want to make sure you have your Yelp listing with your location. You're going to get leads tracking from Yelp. You can implement that pixel to understand your online actions, and you can even implement call tracking. So that way you can understand those calls are coming through and that they're quality calls for you. So once you have that listing with your location on Yelp for your practice, you're then able to utilize those tools that are going to help you measure what type of leads we're driving to you. Um, Another question, if I want to measure all of this, how do I determine a model that includes online actions and store visits and transactions? What would you recommend in that instance? So we're thinking online actions, store visits, and transactions.
Can you repeat the question, Kadisha?
I could take it too. If you want to measure, this is kind of like the kitchen sink question, right? I want to measure everything. I want to understand my online actions, my store visits, and my transactions. What kind of model do we put in place? I'll take that one. Because this is what my team does every day, right? So I'm going to use an example of um, a retail store. And they have a great website where you can go on the website and buy, but you can also go on the store and transact. So in the case of that retail store, if they want to measure online actions, we may put a pixel in place. So that way we actually know if someone went to Yelp, clicked on the website, then transacted with the store in that case. If they want to measure store visits, we would use our Yelp store visits product. So that way we're actually able to know if someone came into the store and transacted with the store in that way from there. And if they want to measure transactions, the Pixel can do that, but we can also partner with a live ramp who can actually get us transaction value and measure those transactions as well. And so the way we think about attribution, when there's lots of different points where your customers can engage with you, is we start to layer in those different pieces. So you can see that full view. Who's coming in the store, who's buying online, where's that point of entry, where are they ending off? And so oftentimes we actually think about more than just one attribution solution to help get at that question. Let's see. You still ready for questions, Kieran? I know I stole that last one.
No, that's
Um,
fine.
well, this one says, what is your fee structure around your various measurement options?
I think that's a good question. Something that we get often. I would say all current Yelp solutions come packaged with your Yelp media. So as long as feasibility is being met, you can get access to measurement. I'll put it that way. With regards to third-party measurement, that does kick in a fee structure, sometimes in the form of an added cost on top of your ad spend. But sometimes it also comes it comes as minimum investments that you need to make with Yelp as a platform to unlock that particular tool. Were there any other questions?
I'm sorry, I had a quick freeze out there. Can you hear me, Karen?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. I think that wraps up our questions on attribution for today. But this has been really great. I hope folks out there in the audience got some benefit from just hearing about the solutions, thinking about the future, and understand the current offerings at Yelp today. Again, if you want to get in touch, you can find us at brands.yelp.com or contact us at brands@yelp.com and send an email over that way. And we look forward to chatting more in the future, telling you about more products, and really enjoying this journey of attribution with you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Kirisha.
Have a great day, everyone.